Republican Senator Joni Ernst, as you probably have heard me mention, both grew up castrating hogs on a farm and gave the response to President Obama's State of the Union address on Tuesday evening. Now, I call it a response because it was not actually a rebuttal. She did not rebut almost anything that President Obama said. She merely spoke in a time slot that made it seem as though her speech was in some way directly related to President Obama's. When it came to subject matter, there was very little in common. But something very interesting that did come out of Joni Ernst's speech is that in the speech, as many Republicans do, Joni Ernst called for cuts in government spending. She described how her views grew out of her own simple upbringing that didn't depend on government subsidies or government support. And she talks about her family watching every penny. And at one point, she only had one pair of shoes, Lewis. But an investigation of public records by the Washington, D.C. based District Sentinel found that between 1995 and 2009, Joni Ernst's family received almost $500,000 in government handouts and payments targeted towards government subsidy of farms with taxpayer funding. Yet another glaring double standard from so-called small government anti-welfare conservatives who were personally or by their direct families beneficiaries of a lack of government, small government conservatism, as they would describe it, of course. The District Sentinel showed that Joni Ernst's own father, Richard Culver, received almost $40,000 in taxpayer handouts, most of it going to corn subsidies. And Joni Ernst's uncle, Dallas Culver, soaked up almost $370,000 in federal agriculture subsidies. All told, $460,000. Ernst, by the way, this was probably just an innocent oversight, Lewis, failed to mention her own family's reliance on government handouts when criticizing government handouts.
I think her counter argument would probably be something along the lines of, well, this is for farming. You know, we are hardworking people. We are providing food for others. And so these subsidies make sense for us. And the handouts she'd probably say she's against are people who, poor people, inner city people, urban people, if you will, who don't work and don't do anything and just want the government to give them money.
Are you talking about blah people, Lewis? Is that who you're referring
to? Yeah, blah people.
Corporate media just spooning this stuff up. I mean, they were just loving it. CNN talked about Ernst's hard scrabble upbringing. NBC News talked about how Joni Ernst brushed aside the president's call for higher taxes, vowing that Republicans would cut wasteful spending. I wonder if the $500,000 her family received would be part of that wasteful spending. And we'll see if any corporate media actually reports on the fact that this is just another glaring double standard from so-called fiscal conservatives. We will take a break. We have a great program for you today. Twitter.com/dpakman. Follow me on Twitter.